Hey everybody, welcome back to Ready Steady Play. I'm Mike Dennis.
And I'm Ben Hirsh.
We're here to talk about Star Trek Ascendancy. In fact, this is our final thoughts, having just played the game.
Yes, which you would have seen yesterday, how the finale turned out. How did it turn out, Mike?
Well, I won.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. It was a close game. It was a pretty close game.
It was a pretty close game.
I'm just going to do this. There we go. You can see our t-shirts now appropriate for the game we're playing, of course.
Yeah, we know what to do.
Yeah.
We're sci-fi pros. So Star Trek Ascendancy is this 4X game from Gale Force 9. And we had some reservations about a 4X Star Trek game.
Yeah, because it made sense for 2 out of the 3 sort of factions that come in the box. Didn't feel like it made much sense for the Federation to be an empire set on dominating the galaxy.
But I suppose it depends on how you sort of want to interpret the theme, doesn't it? Because you could interpret it as dominating, or you could interpret it as sort of uniting.
It sounds very empire of you.
Sounds very like propaganda, doesn't it?
Yeah. We're going to peacefully assimilate these nations using our diplomatic skills. But it's really just dominating them.
Well, and that's something that's maybe a good place to start.
Okay.
Is marriage of theme and mechanics.
Okay.
Because for those of you at home that don't know what 4X means, it's like
Yes.
it's a dirty joke.
Oh, I thought you were going to
Can I make the dirty joke?
I thought you were going to try and remember them again because last time you forgot.
Oh yeah, no, I've got it. It's
Exfoliate.
Exfoliate, extreme exfoliate, expedite, extrapolate.
Yay!
Well, you'll know that it actually is 4 E's. The 4 E's.
It's 4X.
It's 4 E's, though, isn't it? It's explore, expand,
exploit.
You
always forget that one.
and exterminate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the dirty joke?
I was just gonna say it's like porn, but one more.
Cool. Theme mechanics. Let's go.
Yeah. So the mechanics of the game. I mean, would you call it a pretty standard 4X?
I would say it's a pretty solid 4X. I'd call it a simple 4X, but it doesn't make it bad.
No, in fact, in many ways, that makes it more appealing to me.
It does, yeah.
Where would you put this on the Eclipse scale?
Oh man, nothing quite beats Eclipse, I think.
Okay.
I would play Eclipse over this any day. That's because I'm an Eclipse junkie.
Right. But I meant in comparison of complexity.
Oh yeah, this is far simpler. There's resource management. It's kind of similar actually in the way you do find planets. And maybe you need to spend more to make more on this with the planets. Because I mean, in Eclipse, if you find a planet, that's going to generate you stuff. You don't have to then build stuff on it. Where in this game, you have to find the planet, spend to colonize, spend to develop. And I ended up in a position where I didn't build the right node, so I didn't have enough resources to build more nodes. There was a bit of a sink there. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, you built that research node right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, production.
Yeah. And
that's because it's like production. Everything costs production.
Yeah, which was, I don't know if I'd call that good or not in terms of design, but I mean, comparing to Eclipse, it's just quite hard to compare to Eclipse because I'm going to always say Eclipse is one of the best games I've made.
Mm-hmm. We should probably play it.
I do have the expansions I haven't even opened yet.
Anyway. I haven't played it in like a decade.
I haven't played it since last UKG. Anyway, but so what were we talking about? We're talking about the complexity and how it sort of fits into the world of 4X. It is less complex than the majority of 4X games out there, I think. I like how simple it is in that way. Like the number of actions is pretty simple. The rulebook is simpler. There's less pages. Combat's really simple and straightforward. Like, for example, I mean, in games like Eclipse and pretty much most 4X space games, you have that sort of ship diagram where you can manage your, put better shields or better rockets or better targeting computers. In this, you have 2 sliders for all your ships.
Yeah.
There's no retrofitting. It's just, and it applies to your planets as well. there's a lot of streamlining in this, which is good, I think. A lot of the complexity of this game comes from that kind of fun map mechanic, which I think we should talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like that?
The map mechanic.
So the mechanic, in case you don't know, is that there's no board. You put down these spheres, which are planets, and if you go from a planet to another planet, you put down a sort of
when you
line.
leave a planet, you make a spaceway, which is a sort of a corridor between planets.
Yeah.
And they are varying in length.
Yeah. And so you've got this dynamic created map that every game's going to be different. And it's not like a hexagon where you've got 6 ways of putting it. There is a 360 degrees of putting things down. I've never seen that in a game before. Mm-hmm. I think it's really good.
It's really good.
A bit clunky to understand at first.
Yeah, I would have liked to see... I mean, I think they say in the rulebook, play in a 3x3.
Yeah, on a 3x3.
It would have been nice of them to include something to mark that.
Yeah, but pretty much all war games... This isn't a war game, but all war games where it does say, play in this kind of table space, none of them give you anything. You always have to
but this is a board game out of the box, not a miniatures game. Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't expect to buy a starter set for a war game.
Like X-Wing. And
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't describe X-Wing as that either. X-Wing is a weird hybrid. I mean, we're talking about like sort of the starter set for, like Warhammer 40,000 is a great example.
Okay.
And what you get is like a few pieces of terrain. And
not even in Star Wars miniatures game you get the 3x3 board. In this, they sell a similar 3x3 space.
But X-Wing actually only requires the 3x3 for strict competitive play. You can play on literally any space you define for.
I was unsure.
Whereas with this, it's like, we had to define the table edge because I think I liked it a lot. Just to say that straight up. Like, it might sound like I'm being critical. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really neat. I like the idea that it's sort of amorphous. I almost felt sad when things started to get locked into place.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea that it's sort of like space moving around, and it's kind of like a cool way of representing
exploration
and the 3D nature of space, and sort of moving. Yeah. I don't know, like through space, and how you might find like sort of faster ways of doing that.
Yeah, and then like Mike said, once the board was locked down, it did suddenly turn into a game of extermination.
But also, it felt more like then a dungeon with rooms and corridors. Yeah. Rather than this sort of expanse.
Yeah.
And that was that was a bit sad because and there were points where it was like, I'm going to make a corridor between this planet and this planet, and then you roll the die and you get a 4 and you can't because it doesn't fit anymore. And that seemed silly to me. That felt like a little breaking with the theme because, I mean, why can't you fly from that planet to that planet via any means? Via any route you want. There wasn't really an explanation for that. It's just like, nope, you have to fly all the way around these other planets because that's the way the dungeon is laid out.
Well, yeah, so you can arrange that when you're traveling from one planet to another, you can sort of arrange it however way you like. But you have to roll a dice to make and the dice determines the length of the corridor. So, Mike, just in case you didn't watch the series, the length of that corridor is based on the dice roll. Sometimes it won't fit between the planets you want to get to. It might be too short or too long. I actually think that it didn't come up in our playthrough, but I could see that as quite a fun sort of tactical edge.
No, it did when Ollie wanted to blast through to Romulus and he couldn't do it. And I think there was something else that prevented him from doing that.
I mean, there was a point. You're right. There was a point. It was when I blocked off my home planet from your planet that was quite near it by making another space lane. You couldn't fit another space lane in there.
Yeah.
I found that. I like that. I like that. There's this sort of sub tactic of how you lay the board out by blocking people. I think that's quite cool. But you're right. It does sort of.
I mean, it's pure game mechanics though. It's jarring with the theme.
Yeah.
Rather than working with the theme.
True. What other?
But like I said, it wasn't a deal breaker for me at all. No. I just sort of it was something I observed because you've got these things called floating planets, which is when the planet is attached to another by one single corridor, and at that point you can just kind of move the planet all around as much as you want. It's like a sort of a free limb.
Yeah.
But the minute it gets another corridor attached to it, it becomes locked in place, and then you can move that other one around this one that's locked. And then when you get something attached to that, this whole thing is locked. And so you're sort of sequentially locking the planets into place as you build this map. and it just it felt less and less thematic the more of the map we filled out, because it's it's space, right?
So that's one gripe that I've seen online quite a lot about this game.
Oh yeah,
and it's that the 4X nature of this, the Explore X, the first X, does get lost. There is like there's almost a finite amount you can explore, and then the game sort of becomes less about exploration, it becomes more about war. Which is a shame, because my favourite aspect of 4X is the exploration part. And it's a shame when a lot of games sort of shove that X in the early game and forget about it in the late game. Which makes sense, that the late game is when you found each other and you're exterminating. That's why exterminate is the last X. But I like.
Are they supposed to be in order? I didn't realize they were in order.
I think they're in Explore. I forgot the second X.
Expand,
that's it.
Exploit.
So you explore, you move your empire out, you start harvesting what you've explored to, and then you start exterminating everyone else to harvest them. And I do like games where you can still explore even though it's late game, because exploring is Star Trek. I mean, that's the whole point of Star Trek. That's
the whole point of the Federation.
Yes, which is the theme. I mean, it's in the front of the box. It does almost feel like it's less. They made the game mechanics suited more towards the other empires than for the Federation, and they've sort of thrown in that hegemony mechanic, huge money mechanic. I forgot the fucking hegemony mechanic.
Hegemony.
Just to sort of give the Federation a way of doing things that doesn't seem out of character.
Yeah, doing the Federation
when
things,
it's the same resolution as combat. I thought it was a bit weak. I thought there's something more could be done there. But that exploration, I love those cards. I thought they were cool. Like, you find a planet. Oh, there's a civilization here. But it's just a civilization. It's not like the Ferengi outpost or something.
Well, there was the Lost Federation outpost that blew up all your ships.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was cool.
But only because I rolled super well. But I think, I felt like I wanted a bit more out of the exploration. I kept finding virgin planets and being disappointed, despite the fact that was actually the best thing for me in the game. And I feel like that's maybe a bit of a shame, that the planets I'm most excited about in terms of theme are also the ones that are least beneficial to me in terms of mechanics.
Yeah, where theme is actually what you don't want. You don't want to waste time with all the fun parts.
Yeah, I don't want to waste time battling. Well, I mean, thematically, I don't want to put resources into fighting pirates, which is what happened to you.
Yeah, but that's the fun. That's
fun. Yeah, exactly.
That's just not beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the game seems almost sort of to conflict with itself internally about managing sort of efficient empire building and the theme, the romance of space.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to see maybe the exploration cards having more impact, being bigger. Like I would have liked discovering a planet to be a much bigger event.
Yeah, I agree. There could be more like maybe a choice, or like where one person takes the card and reads it, and then you make a decision, and then it resolves. Something simple.
I mean, I would have liked to see like the hegemony. You fucked me up now because you did it first.
Huge money.
The huge money mechanic where you're taking over planets with culture. I felt like almost that should be kind of like a basic mechanic. The fact that you can find a virgin planet that's like uncolonized and then just have it and just land a thing there, and you do have to give up like a culture and a ship
and a turn.
It doesn't feel like enough though.
Yeah.
To colonize like a whole planet, I felt like maybe. But I mean, I guess that's the scope, right? It's because of the scope of the game.
Up the game as well.
Yeah.
Because it's already quite a long game. But those exploration cards, they're quite cool. I can definitely see them being really unbalanced. I mean, like take my situation for example, and take Ollie's situation with the
right. That all came from an exploration card, right?
Yeah.
Q.
Yeah. I mean, so many. They're so wildly. Like up and down, it can pretty much dictate how the game will play out. Where you, like you say, you had like no nothing. You just have virgin planets, and you won because you had nothing to fucking fuck with your day.
I almost didn't win because I didn't realize I had to save my homeworld.
Yeah, I mean, but that was just a rule. That was a rule fuck up. But
a rule fuck up on our show? Never.
So yeah. Ready, steady, read the rules. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much the only criticisms I have.
I mean, so I would sort of separate it into two things. I'd say as a 4X, as a light 4X game, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked it. As a Star Trek game, I'm not sure that it really realizes the theme. And that's probably an obvious commentary, really. I'm not sure what theme I would put on top of it if it wasn't that.
Eclipse. Light.
Yeah, but Eclipse is like generic space
true.
sci-fi, isn't it? It's an original IP.
But Gale Force 9, they always do their IP-based games. They probably had them licensed and was like, it's a 4X game.
Yeah, and well, you know, but I mean, like, it's not a terrible IP for this product at all.
It did work at points. I mean, we were saying like, and the Klingons gonna invade the Federation.
Oh my god, do you know what I would play to death?
What?
This, but Starship Troopers theme.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or even Halo to an extent.
Yeah, or even Halo. Although Halo is much more niche.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not now.
I think Starship Troopers is a bit more niche.
Do you think so?
Yeah, at this point in time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, because you could have the Covenant, the humans, and the Flood.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally works. Just like that.
I'd be the Flood. The Flood are fucking crazy.
Yeah. You need planetary battles. Yeah, that could work. But yeah, I like that there was planetary combat to an extent. Like, I like that you don't just fight ships in the space.
Oh yeah,
like
you have to attack the planets.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
They could have done a bit more with the theming.
It'd be nice to have been able to build defenses on a planet beyond the structures that generate resources. Like, I would like to see the option to sacrifice a production space for like a defensive space.
I thought the outposts were that, in a way.
The star bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about the star bases is they almost represent like they don't give you a huge defensive bonus, and their real value, I think, is in producing ships.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you've got to be much more careful with that. Whereas being able to quickly grab a planet somewhere and then throw down like instead of a culture node or a research node or whatever, you build like a defensive tower, and that rolls 2 dice instead of 1, something like that.
Yeah.
So you give up the income. That would also help late game where you're trying to sort of be defensive.
Yeah. True.
And you've got we're probably on one particular path to victory, and maybe you don't need research as much.
I liked how I almost won at a point.
How you almost won?
Yeah, at a point. Yeah. Even though my game was going terribly, but I think that only happened because I feel like if we were all more experienced, and I had been given that hand of bad luck, I still feel like I would have been nowhere near winning. You guys would have.
In this, like, I really didn't want to wipe you out. You know, like, if I'd been an efficient player, I probably would have just gone and wiped you off the table really quickly and just expanded into that space.
And it would have been totally possible to have done that as well.
I think so, yeah.
It would have been so easy, and I don't know whether that was the game's sort of lack of balance that caused that, or it was my bad decisions, or my experience, or a combination.
I wonder how unique our gameplay was with that cue card. You know, I wonder how easy it would have been to just blast directly across space and establish a trade agreement with Ollie really early on if Q hadn't come up.
I think it would be pretty easy.
I think it
in our small map, and we had a small map anyway. So
I mean, we had about 3 foot by 2.5, so it's not that much smaller than the recommended size. In fact, I think it was even bigger than that. I think we're only missing about like 4 inches of it.
Oh, okay, fair.
You know, well, actually no, but then I had my thing on it. Yeah, so it's probably about 3 by 2.5.
Yeah.
But if you rolled well, or if you were both heading towards each other, and you know, I think it would be very easy to team up, establish a strong trade agreement, wipe someone out right at the start. But I like how we had this incredible advantage, and then you were still able to sort of make yourself relevant.
Yeah.
That was good.
Colonizing Argo.
Yeah.
I was so happy. That was such a good moment.
It took such a long time.
What about the components? So I had a few tokens that were ripped when I got it. We opened it fresh for the channel. Gale Force 9 immediately sent me replacements, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. That was the culture tokens, right?
There were a few culture tokens. But yeah, that's cool. My gripe would be those command consoles. They weren't kind of consistent in their sort of...
slideriness.
Yeah. What do you call that? They weren't smooth enough to slide.
Is it torque?
Is that for turning? Anyway, some had more friction than others, and I mean, it didn't bug me that they were different, but it bugged me that some were really hard to slide. That was annoying. That seemed like it could be easily fixed, but hey, what can you do? The minis are cool. What do you think about the minis?
The minis are perfectly adequate. I have no gripes about the minis at all.
It was cool they were all the same as well, because I mean, they're resources, really. They're not really... The ships were pretty much resources. They weren't anything special.
I found I had no problem getting immersed in the conflict and stuff.
Yeah.
With the minis.
And I think the resource nodes look really cool.
Yeah, the resource nodes were really good.
They were all different. They had different...
I mean, well, they're 3 different kinds, yeah. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
They could have just been the same but different colors.
Yeah, but they actually had different sculpts. I really like that.
Yeah. I like that they fit into the node, the central node thing.
Yeah, that was cool. Putting those together, that was really satisfying.
And then when you get all 4, it looks kind of like a city or whatever. It looks really developed. That's cool.
And I think the art on the planets was freaking awesome too.
The art on the planets was very nice.
I really like those. I like the art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot. I felt like maybe, actually, with the 3 nodes, you've got your culture, your production, your research. I felt like maybe research was a little lackluster.
Yeah, well, you say that. I liked that the research aspect of the game was a side thing that could be quite powerful, especially for the Romulans, because they get culture that way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Much more.
And I liked multiple paths for victory, though I think you're right, it did seem like a pretty lackluster way to win, compared to like just dominating each other.
Do you mean via Ascendancy?
Yeah, because I mean, there's 2 ways to win. Ascend by spending culture resource on Ascendancy points, or you win by wiping out everyone's homeworld.
By
conquering everyone's homeworld.
Which means building a thing there.
Yeah. But to gain Ascendancy, there's sort of multiple ways of doing that based on your race. So the Klingons like to blow stuff up. They get a culture token for everyone they kill. The Federation gets a culture token for every time they huge money a colony. And the Romulans get a culture token for researching specific science things that have the culture token icon. Mm-hmm. Which felt a bit like, whoa, when's that ever going to happen? And there weren't many cards that let me do it. Mm-hmm. But once I was finding those phenomenons and putting down those research points onto them, I did get enough Ascendancy to almost win, which was cool.
How do you feel about that Klingon mechanic? Because it kind of feels like it's kind of like, oh, here's 2 ways to win. Except for you, they're the same. And once I mean, I feel like the Klingons are only ever going to win by Ascendancy if
they're aggressive.
But if they can't, if getting to the homeworlds is just too much.
Yeah. Like,
they'll win by Ascendancy as a backup. So they might as well try just do a conquest victory, and then they might win by Ascendancy in the process of doing that. Yeah. And that kind of is like, well, if you're the Klingons, you are going to be playing. And I mean, that's thematic, but it does shoehorn that player into one way of playing.
It does. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how the game would work without Klingons, because there are expansions for this. There's a Ferengi and some other one who I don't know right now. But
is there another one?
Yeah.
It's not Dominion.
No, I don't think so. I think so. There's Borg. And you can play with all of them at the same time, but I would probably say don't ever do that. I wouldn't probably.
Yeah, I mean it is a game that's sort of subject to the downtime issues.
And with 3, it was already, especially because the turn
order is random, so you could have 2 turns back to back and then not go for ages.
Yeah.
Or you could have 2 turns completely separated and not go for ages.
which sucks. I had that. I had like.
I feel like you were a lot more sensitive to that than the rest of us.
Yeah, it was like me
because your turns are so short.
Yeah. But it is a good game. I think as a game it works. It's fun. It's 4X. It's kind of Star Trek. I recommend it, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're looking for something really Star Trek-y.
I would recommend it if you're into the concept of getting sort of a 4X space exploration game. You want something that gives players an option not to be aggressive, although you'll probably have to pick up an expansion pack to play with 3 if you want that option.
Yeah. We don't know how they work.
And you don't have... And your playgroup is not like hardcore hobbyists. You know, I think it lends
itself... It's helpful to teach new people.
It's
good to teach.
It's quite an accessible game. There's not a lot going on. It's quite fast to pick up, I think. A lot of things are just resolved by sort of counting up things and rolling dice.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a lot to track either. It also... I mean, we just dumped all 3 fleets on the table at the start, but a lot of stuff builds up. Like, you would build into 3 fleets if you're playing with the...
Yeah, there's a good progression. Yeah.
So there's a good progression. I think it'd be quite an easy game, an accessible game for people who are like really into the hobby, or who are maybe like, you know, playing a lot of Ticket to Ride.
Yeah. Price tag. I feel this is a £70 game.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
I think it's 60 or 70.
Okay.
I think that's quite a high price tag for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because it's Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to pick it up for a really good deal.
Well, that's just you all over, isn't it?
That's just how I get my games. But I wouldn't.
But it comes with 90 plastic ships.
But I didn't.
90, Ben. That's less than 1 per pound. I mean, more than 1 per pound.
I didn't feel like the plastic minis did it justice to each other. I mean, they were cool, but I mean, they were all the same. They didn't feel like anything more than resource tokens.
Mm-hmm.
They were minis and they looked like spaceships, and that's kind of cool, but they didn't, like, they were all the same. You know, it's not like Star Trek Fleet Captains, where the minis are all vastly different and all do different things, and you feel like you're paying for the different minis and the different
sculpts.
Right,
it's got the rotated basic bits.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. That felt like it's worth the price tag, but this, I think, was a bit.
For all their complexity, though, those minis are pretty cheap.
True, but
that's.
I'm just saying, I'm no expert on how much board games should cost. I've never produced one, so maybe it's a good price. But for what we got out of it, I wouldn't rate it as one of those big buy games that you're going to be playing, or at least that I'm going to be playing all the time.
Yeah, I feel like the price tag on it puts it in a ballpark where maybe you might expect a bit more from it.
Especially like a bit more player number variance. Like, I couldn't imagine this with 2 players. I think this is a 3-player game. Especially the base box. I wouldn't play with it. It even says 3 players on it.
Oh, yeah.
And there are variants for 2. It doesn't even say 2 to 3, it's 3 players. Oh, yeah. And a game that's that expensive with such a specific player count, I feel like some people might shy away from.
3 is quite rigid.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, don't bring a 4th player if you want to play this game.
Yeah.
So it might make it quite difficult to get to the table.
Unless you have a 3-way gaming group. Or just a 3-way relationship.
Sure. I mean, you know, if you're into any of those things, then, you know, or whatever your social dynamic is, then if it involves 3 individuals, then this would probably be quite good for you, provided they're not hardcore hobbyists, in which case you could probably find something more suited.
Because, it's not... I mean, it probably has a weird amount of balance, but I feel like if you're a hardcore gamer and you're going to get upset about being shafted by some of the random elements in this game, I wouldn't get it, because there are quite a few random elements.
I mean, I would be psyched to get this down off the table on one of like my sort of beer and board games nights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a laugh out loud, fun game.
Yeah.
But it's not a strategic. It's strategic.
But sometimes you want that. Like sometimes you don't want a brain burner.
It's not a brain burner. It's not a strategic mastermind. It has strategy. It has tactics, but it's not like a strategy game. But it's still good.
Well, because your whole strategy can be upset by
a die roll. At the end of the day.
By another player going, I'm going to break our trade agreement and fuck up your homeworld now.
Which I think is quite. I mean, I felt like that's kind of that would happen in any.
I feel like that needs to happen in this game.
Yeah.
So I feel like by the inverse of that, you probably can't play it with a group where people are hypersensitive to player aggression, which is some groups. You know, that's why people play a lot of Agricola.
Yeah. So on that note, I don't have anything more to say. I think we've.
Well, I feel like we should compare it to the other Star Trek game, Fleet Captains, which we played.
Which we have played in the past, which we will...
Which is on the channel, so you should go and look at that if you're interested in Fleet Captains, which is what Ben described as the Star Trek game.
And you'll find out if I still think it's that on our next video, which may or may not come out tomorrow.
Hopefully it'll come out tomorrow.
It'll definitely come out on the Facebook page. So check that out and like it.
Oh yeah, we have a Facebook page now.
We do have a Facebook page now.
With our faces on it.
And books.
And board games.
That's it.
But we put out we were sort of getting creative and putting out some different kinds of funny promo videos and stuff on there, and just posting up
board game
stuff. We'd love to hear from you guys about what you'd like to see us play, because at the moment we're just kind of playing stuff we are interested in and stuff we kickstarted and things like that. So if there's something you want to see, be sure to stop by and let us know.
Leave us a comment or give us a post on the Facebook. Also, like our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't.
That's this thing, by the way.
Yeah, that's
that you're watching this on.
This is on this thing, yeah.
And thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you found this informative. And we'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Yay! Bye.
Bye.